All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Moonhawk Studios Presents. I am your host, Mac Paladin. With me in the studio, as always, is my good friend Adam.
Hello.
Kevin lives.
Lives and is now a free bird, if you will.
Uh-oh.
And that's all I'll have to say about that. Although I will say a little bit in just a sec, but yeah.
All right. Depending on the technicals.
The internal screaming is becoming a lot less internal.
How do you internalize screaming? Well, let's try it. And we have the Alex here.
That is a thing that I am.
Well, physically on the air, physically present is another matter.
Mm-hmm.
Prove
Anyway,
I'm
we have a
not
great show for you
tangible in
tonight.
the air.
We have a great show for you tonight. But before we get to the meat of the program, Adam, why don't you start us off with the news?
I guess this would be the potatoes of the show. Anyway.
The bomb wheat, if you will, with a zesty tomato confit.
Right.
French fries and ketchup.
Now I'm getting hungry. Anyway, my news is essentially, the back end of last week's news, and that is setting up all my new electronics. The laptop and the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pleased to say, I'm done with all the downloading, the adjusting, the making sure the AI components are dead and buried. Look, it's not just the Copilot, it's the shit on the mobile phones.
Mm-hmm.
That we worry about
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So, anyway, as I said, everything is, for lack of a better term, up and running. And up to my satisfaction, mainly because I downloaded that thing Petty sent me that made Windows 11 a lot more like Windows 10.
Mm-hmm. Or you can make it be Windows 7 if you don't want all the bullshit.
The thing is, I haven't used Windows 7 in a very long time, so I just figured I would set it to the thing that I was just using.
No, that's valid.
Anyway, Kevin, over to whatever you want to expound about.
Let's just say that I need to find something else to do going forward. And you can take it as you want, take it as you like. Need to find something else to do. I need to find a new thing to do during the week.
Yeah. Well, you're not leaving us currently.
No, not in terms of this show, but in terms
the way
of
you made it sound like you were leaving the show. That's why I had to mention that.
Not the show.
Kevin warned us that
career.
Employment opportunities have changed.
Yes, career. In terms of a career, yes, that's that. And I don't want to go into full details and specifics because I want to move on, as it were. So, yeah. Other than that, which is a pretty big development, regardless. But other than that, nothing else happening around here. Petty, tell us your story.
Honestly, before this afternoon, the weekend was pretty alright, or the week was pretty alright. 3:00, my mom calls my sister and informs her that her job has fired her.
Oh, no.
We honestly, the thing we think happened is they're firing mom to make room for a lady who had a child about 2 months ago. So they're firing mom to make room for her.
Mm-hmm.
The messed up thing is the lady who was gone for 2 months wasn't gone FMLA.
Mm.
By all rights, she should have been fired 2 weeks ago. So, because she's friends with the manager, my mom gets fired, and she gets to basically take my mom's job. But she has the lady who's coming to basically take my mom's job has 3 write-ups. Mom had 1 disciplinary issue where they made her lose 1 day of pay, and she had some minor mistakes that she was asking them to help retrain her, as one does if they're having issues with their workplace. And instead they chose to fire her. The issue is my mom
Companies don't have the time and money to train their employees anymore. I don't know what you expected.
The thing that sucks is my mom is in her mid to late 50s. So, they can't say age discrimination is a thing. Age discrimination is very much a thing as long as they don't publicly say it's age discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a lot harder for mom to find a job compared to someone who's in their early 20s and is willing to work for barely above minimum wage. So that's going to be an issue. Hopefully it can get handled swiftly. A local warehouse is looking for front desk help. And that's basically what mom was doing at where she previously worked. So hopefully she can have a job by Monday, basically. Yeah. Let's see, and that's pretty much the big thing. I mean, the only other thing that happened is I was told that from the accident that I had back in January, basically it re-aggravated my arthritis. So they gave me a steroid injection and basically told me, I hope it helps. There's not a lot we can do for another 15 years to old enough for a knee replacement. So that's fun. Wait, no, opposite of fun. That sucks.
Mm-hmm.
They can't do that thing where they inject silicone into it.
They actually tried the gel stuff. It caused more pain.
Oh.
Yeah, I was seriously about to just break my knee with a wrench. It was so bad. So yeah, no, none of those silicone gel things.
Well, shoot.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was unfortunate. But yeah, I think that's all for me.
Gallix, what you got?
Nothing too exciting going on over here. I picked up my new laptop earlier this week. I haven't really turned it on to set it up yet because I'm anticipating needing to take a certain amount of time to delete all of the AI features and get everything set up the way I like. But that's good because, like I said last time, my old laptop not doing so hot. This past weekend turned out to have a Splatfest that I was barely alert to in time to participate, but I did, and that's good because I was on Team Night, and Team Night won. Probably somewhat unsurprisingly, because this is a video game tournament, and the thing was how many or what time of day do you get the most stuff done, with the choices being morning, afternoon, and night. There were kind of a lot of mirror matches, and I was wondering if it wasn't just because this is kind of self-selecting for people who play at the same time.
Yeah, it's something gamer predilection and whatnot.
But also, Team Night was the most popular team, so you got the more mirror matches that way too. And also, Sunday was my birthday, so I'm 39 now. Other than that, not too much going on.
All right. Well, the solar saga continues.
Yeah, we do continue to go around the sun, yes.
Despite a certain somebody's best efforts to crash us into it. I spent the entire weekend trying to get the rent. It was a real slow start to last week, and I'm having a similar problem this week where it's a little bit of a slow start. And I did like 4 12-hour days in a row before tapping out and requesting financial aid, which I have partially paid back already, but that's neither here nor there. Before the show, I was setting up the replacement power outlets that I'm going to be using in the streaming room, which also involves finding, shall we say, hidden ancient cat mess treasure.
Oh, fine.
Behind bookcases and under desks. And cleaning that. So that was exciting. Yeah, just reorganizing some stuff, to try to make the power distribution setup that I'm creating as efficient as possible, which is always a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been in the 90s for the past several days. Luckily, I'm a garden level apartment that is heavily shaded. As I said in the pre-show, I found some aluminum shed panels out in the wild, is the expression I will use. One of which has a handle and hinges on it that I'm going to use to create a folding shade for my streaming bedroom window. I get some 2x4s, make another miter to go with the solar panels, and then kind of put it so that way I can use it as a shutter for the back window. I think that will cool things down considerably because then it'll be more reflective than absorbing. The metal on the outside, I think, will reflect the heat more than the black curtains on the inside, which keep absorbing heat. And I can use it as a sort of awning over that window as well. I've got plans. Stuff's happening, thinking about things. Using the old gourd, frying the bacon grease that constitutes the gray matter in my skull, What else is going on? It's interesting. Not a whole hell of a lot. I mean, what?
No, just what's the whole what's going on that's interesting.
Because what I'm talking about is debatable at best to some people out there.
Fair.
I'm on an ADHD journey. Meanwhile, the Secretary of Health and Human Services has basically just said, well, we got to get rid of all these ADHD and autism people because obviously it's being caused by, aliens, chemtrails or something. I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. He got up on the podium and it's just, don't you have brain worms, dude? I think you're the last person on earth who should be, and he's over there, talking like, those guys over at Autism Speaks really are making a whole hell of a lot of sense. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, here we go. Which coincides with that fantastic Saturday Night Live cold open where he's like, he says, yeah, people are calling me a bit of a messiah because of the mess I made. Which I thought was rather clever. And I hope to God it was off the cuff and not scripted, because that would make it even better. But yeah, it's just, while we're sitting here having having people legislated off the planet and being told that our diseases are curable if we just clean up our diet and work harder. Get more vitamin D and E or something. Beyond that, it's just trying to survive that daily onslaught. You're dealing with neurodivergent people who are already on the precipice as it is, with just trying to put it politely, keep it together. Just existing. And then we have to put up with this bullshit.
Yep.
The Department of Education. Speaking of AI, the Department of Education wants to smother our kids with A1 steak sauce because Linda McGovern.
Still better than using AI.
Right? I don't know. Threatening to barbecue our children is not exactly not a heartwarming prospect.
We get them steak burgers.
Yeah. State mandated, no less.
Yeah.
So it's just the world in review is everything's on fire,
Yeah,
and we're all in a drought.
yeah. Well,
How sunny.
I don't have anything uplifting to lead into this next segment, so I'm just filibustering.
Yeah.
to fill time. We started at 11 after, 12 after, so let me ramble on for 2 more minutes here, or not.
Yeah.
Let's go right to the main event. So tonight we have the return of Daniel Kablan, and he is here to talk about his upcoming Kickstarter for American Dreams 1 through 6, launching April 22nd. Daniel, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those who may have forgotten, or for those who are new to our program, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do once again.
I'm Daniel Kablan. I'm a Brooklyn-based comic book writer. Mostly it's for American Dreams, which is coming to Kickstarter again next week. I'm also known for Night Wrath, Rook and Knight, Sherlock Holmes, The Phantom Masquerade, and I've been in a few comic anthologies, including the Rigo-nominated Cthulhu Invades Wonderland.
Ooh. Nice.
Thanks.
All right. Now we got the introductions out of the way. Adam, you're up.
All right. So, if I'm remembering from our last discussion, I think when we had you on the program last was around the time when American Dreams issue 4 was in development.
Right. Wow.
So, okay. Everything okay over there?
Yeah, they're saying like, wow, it's been that long.
Right. So it would behoove me to ask what has occurred in the American Dreams comic since that, or indeed from issue 4 to issue 6.
Well, I believe it was like American Dreams issues 4 and 5. I think it was like 2 and it ended up being both 4 and 5. So if you remember from 4 and 5, Liberty, our main character of American Dreams, the Jewish immigrant Jake Gold, who got empowered by an ethics experiment that went haywire, had to go up against a now empowered anti-Semite going by the name of Amalek, who was hell-bent on basically destroying the Jewish enclave of the Lower East Side of Manhattan in 1900s New York.
Yes, I think I remember this.
Yeah. Thankfully, victorious. And issue 6 picks up a little bit, like a month or so afterwards, around Memorial, will be equivalent of Memorial Day then, which was called Remembrance Day. And back then. And that, of course, there's a parade planned and everything, but some people have, ill intentions towards some of the things being celebrated at that parade and some of the people taking part in it.
Right. You sent me a rough cut of American Dreams 6. and it's a curious choice, since, well, I'm not sure if you want certain things revealed or not, but let's just say ghosts of the past, of the Civil War rise up.
Yes. Because you have to remember, this is literally taking place 35 years after the end of the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And New York Manhattan especially has a very complex relationship with the Civil War because while what was then the city of Brooklyn, my borough, was very pro-union, what was then just New York City, which just then Manhattan, was very mixed. You had very pro-union people, but they also had some Confederate sympathizers because New York profited from the cotton trade. It also was the site of the draft riots, which was one of the biggest race riots in American history, which you might remember if you've seen Gangs of New York, the big riot that takes place during the climax of that film.
I have seen that, and yeah, the draft riots were very nasty business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though I'm not sure how Confederate sympathizing any part of New York would have extended to like slavery, like. But a lot of that's having to do with economic factors. Right. That's probably beyond the scope of what we're talking about.
If
here.
nothing else, they could probably said to be not be enough against it.
Right. This is like the know nothings stronghold, if I recall. But this was 35 years before the events of this comic. Yeah. We're dealing though more with people who want to what we would call a neo-Confederate start chaos in this issue.
Right. And we also get President Teddy Roosevelt.
Well, he's not president at this point. He's just governor at this point.
Oh, right. It's before the assassination of McKinley.
Right. This is the election year where Roosevelt becomes vice president, and McKinley would be assassinated the following year.
That is good to know.
But yeah, it's another big historical person who becomes part of our supporting cast.
And how do I put this? What developments befall our hero during this issue?
Well, he'll have to deal with these neo-Confederates deciding to cause chaos at this parade, and their plan has ties back to one of our villains we introduced in the first arc of American Dreams. That's issues 1 through 5, which also got a store release through Band of Bards, so you can get the comics right now from Band of Bards as well. But he also introduces new allies as well in this issue. And it's really funny because originally my plan for this second arc was completely different. And then my late editor, LaShawn Colvin, quoted me on a podcast we were both on, and she was like, Daniel, you have all these great characters, but they're not as diverse as I would like. And I thought to it a second, you're right. I scratched the entire arc I had planned and rewrote it because I wanted to add new diverse characters to show the diversity of New York and America, as well as more diverse points of view.
And what did that entail?
Well, putting in more people of color in this case, because even I had to admit my first arc is very, very pale, for lack of a better word.
Right.
In terms of characters. So, and LaShawn, who was a black woman, read the first 3 issues of this new arc and she loved them. And she would say, this works, this doesn't, and I would go back and fix it. And she's like, this works. And her assistant editor, who's now the main editor, Andrea, does the same thing. So she's gotta make sure I'm not being insulting to communities that are not my own. And so I have to double check just to make sure with some sensitivity readers and editors just to be on the safe side.
It is always a balancing act there.
Yeah.
Like, so is it safe to say that American Dreams will be continuing beyond issue 6?
Art through issue 10 is already done. Black and white art through issue 10 is already done.
Okay. Yes, that's
issue
another
7
thing.
is already complete.
Hmm.
Issue 8's getting colored right now.
Because, like I said, like I remember from last time, you mentioned like everything up to this issue was set in stone.
Right.
So, that is good to hear.
Yeah.
And are you still planning on having it be like 25 issues, if I'm remembering correctly?
At least 25. I can't if I go any further. I'm still having to plan. I still have to plan out the next arc as well. I have to plan out arc 3 already. And it's also becoming part of this expanded kind of like hero universe I've dubbed the Liberty Verse, because I released Night Wrath, I want to say during COVID, Night Wrath 1. And I did Rook and Knight 1 in 2023, and they all connect either overtly or not so overtly to American Dreams.
So in the same world?
Yes. Same world, but maybe later on the timeline. Yeah. But familiar
Right.
faces will show up, or have shown up, depending on what to the comics you read.
Right. I suppose it's worth asking how you got hooked up with Band of Bards, because I don't think that was in place last time we talked to you.
No, so I reached out to Band of Bards about something else entirely. It was a fantasy idea I had. And then, we went our separate ways. And then I was doing the Kickstarter for, the self-published trade in, I want to say, 2022, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at Terrificon in Connecticut. And my friend flew in from the UK to help me out, and I had 2 other friends at the table next to me. And we're just chatting as I'm, doing the sales, and I get an email from Band of Bards. I'm like, as it's American Dreams or something like that on the subject line. And it basically said, do you want us to, once you're done with the trade, do you want us to publish American Dreams and put into stores? And I guess I must have froze or had a funny look on my face for a second. So my buddy Reese turns to me and goes, Daniel, what's wrong? I show him. I showed my friends Kat and Phil. And I'm like, I immediately write back, I have to talk to you guys after this convention, but yes. And then I called my folks saying, we might have just publishing a pickup deal.
Well, neat.
And they've been really supportive of the book.
Like, so I suppose this leads to the Kickstarter. What exactly are you looking to fund with the first 6 issues of American Dream with this Kickstarter?
So it's to have some printing of the issue 6. I do have some 1 for 5 left, but also to print new copies of 1 for 5, print new copies of the trade, make back some of the money I spent producing this stuff. But we have a nice goal of $3,000. Which I think we'll definitely meet. And people can get the books digitally. They can get them physically. They can do catch-up tiers. They can read, pick up the other copies of the Libertyverse books like Night Wrath and Rook and Knight, issues 1. And we have some nice little fun bundles for everyone.
And are those represented in the tiers.
Yes.
All right, so I suppose it'd be worth giving us the rundown of, what your specific tiers are offering.
Yep, give me a second. I have to pull it up from the draft because
Mhm.
yeah, because this is how it works. 1
Right.
second. It's not
Well,
live.
we are no.
It's not live to the 22nd, folks. I don't know when this is actually broadcast.
Oh, we're broadcasting right now.
Okay, so guys, it starts on Tuesday, next Tuesday, a week from yesterday. So we have a digital PDF where you can get issue 6. That's your straight up issue 6 if you've gotten the past books in PDF.
Yeah.
We have physical copies of issue 6 as well. We have an A cover, a B cover, and our first ever foil cover for American Dreams as well, by Fabrice Sapolsky, who you guys might know as the creator of Spider-Man Noir.
Oh.
So we have our main covers by Doty and Tebby and Warnia, our main team on American Dreams. Rolly Akbar did our main variant. Oh, I should also point out, if you buy a physical copy, you get the digital copy for free as a bonus. We have a digital pack so you can pick up all the #1 issues of American Dreams, Rook and Knight, and Night Wrath. You can pick up digital copies of the trade plus the digital copy of issue 6. We got physical bundles of issue 1. We have physical bundles of just issue 6, so you can get every cover. You get like the whole Libertyverse story so far, digitally and physically. And also you get everything from American Dreams in single issues.
So, with those physical issues, are you shipping in North America or internationally as well?
We are trying. My plan right now is to ship internationally. We have but it's we have to keep in mind, things unfortunately do fluctuate. So hopefully, shipping right. But like I've had to keep an eye on things because shipping is crazy, and also the you've pointed out earlier in the show, the current political situation is kind of crazy.
I'm like, that's a nice way of putting it, especially when it comes to international shipping.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I think it was announced today that Hong Kong is no longer shipping to the United States because of the tariffs.
Yeah. I do point out I use an American printer. Yeah.
I'm like, which will be helpful in a few months when what is it called, Das Minimus ends.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm assuming the Kickstarter will last the standard 30 days.
Correct.
Okay. And I think you were saying that you were asking for 3,000.
Correct.
All right. Right then. So it sounds like pretty typical comic Kickstarter. As these things go.
Basically, I figured, I've gotten this is my 6th Kickstarter I think I've done, and by this point I basically have my preferences of how I like things to go for them, and to keep things relatively simple. I don't do like a lot of the tchotchkes or T-shirts a lot of people do, because that's more costs and they don't all fit in Gemini binder, Gemini packaging.
Okay.
Which I want to point out, always use Gemini mailer if possible when mailing out comics, because it's so much more protective.
And well, let me see here. Probably a good time to switch tracks to something completely different. And that is the other thing you sent over to me today or yesterday, within the last 24 hours. And that is the Sherlock Holmes versus the Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, that was our Kickstarter from last year.
So I suppose the first question is why? Why have Sherlock Holmes face off against the Phantom of the Opera?
Oh, I know
Well,
this
then-
one. They're both public domain.
It helps. I'm actually a fan of both characters, and while people have done Phantom Holmes facetious, which is just just taking Sherlock Holmes and just dumping him in the events of the novel, I want to point out the novel is public domain, not the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. The novel.
Actually, in the novel particularly, it would be interesting to have an actual skilled detective involved to try to pick apart how the heck Eric is doing all that shit.
Well, that's why the character of the Persian's in there, but that character's usually cut from almost every adaptation of the story.
Because all he's there for is be racial stereotype and say keep your hands at the level of your eye.
And be the info dump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though, for a early 20th century pulp novel, they treat him with a lot more care than some people do now. But my thought pattern was, let's make this more of a sequel to Phantom of the Opera. And not the Andrew Lloyd Webber one.
Yeah, no, not that sequel.
No, not that sequel. Though I did, during the promotion for this issue, I jokingly said the tagline is "Obsession never dies," which is true. Which is true, but it's also like kind of the theme of this of this storyline that we're doing. It's planned to be like a 5-issue mini, originally a 6-issue, but then I decided to scale it down a little bit for sanity's sake and for pitching's sake. In all honesty, but like my thought pattern was, how would this work? Is it more of a sequel to Family Opera, and how would Sherlock Holmes work? And then, of course, the pieces start putting together in my head, and it's like you need to somehow bring Earl and Christine in. I said they probably have a son at this point, which I had to name Philippe because Gustav was already taken. Thank you, Lloyd Webber. I lampshaded by making him Philippe Gustave de Chagny. But so someone has kidnapped Ron Christine's son, so it's up to Sherlock to solve the case. And of course, the Phantom is involved, so we have to figure out how the hell he survived the end of the original novel. Because if you read the original novel, he dies. So how is he still alive? That's answered in issue 2. Hint. But in issue 1, it's basically our setup of showing how Christine and Raoul are still living kind of in fear of the possibility that the Phantoms could still be around. And Raoul and his son, relationship with his son, isn't always the best. Meanwhile, Sherlock has been back from the dead, so to speak, roughly 6 months from when we start the story, and he's back on his infamous cocaine solution of the famous 7.5%. And so Watson's worried because Holmes is just getting high all the time, and unfortunately, Holmes is also seeing hallucinations of Moriarty. So another theme of this story, of this version of this Holmes Phantom crossover, is ghosts of the literal and metaphorical kind.
So more than one person is obsessed with stuff.
Yes. And not only that, there's another famous literary character in this issue, which this issue's been out for a few months, so I'll reveal what it is. It's the Artful Dodger from Oliver Twist, but now as a older man, because it's been 50, 60 years since the events of Oliver Twist. Give or take. So he's another supporting character.
Mm-hmm.
And he's connected to our mysterious kidnapper, whoever that may be. I'm not saying.
I'm like, and why include the Artful Dodger into this? Are we looking at the beginnings of the new League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
No, not really. It's me just being kind of being me more of my English major self and wanting to include some fun, additional literary cameos and fun. But I think that's the last real one I'm giving a nod to, at least as an in-person character in this storyline. Other
Alright.
characters may be mentioned in like passing or in background clues, but it's not going to be a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But I do want to point out it's called the Crimson Casebook of Sherlock Holmes as the overarching thing. There will be other tales eventually with some darker antagonists.
That just makes me think Edgar Allan Poe is going to show up.
No, but Edgar Allan Poe's long dead at this point historically.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of a map.
I do have my next after the Phantom. I do have an idea of which character I wanted Holmes to go up against next.
And how long of a run is this grand crossover supposed to last?
Well, for Holmes versus the Phantom, it'll be 5 issues.
Okay.
And if I can do sequels, we'll see how that goes.
Well, how's issue 1 been doing so far?
Issue 1's been doing well. We have like nearly 1,000 views on Global Comics, I think, so far, and those who have read the comic from the Kickstarter have really enjoyed it.
Are you planning on doing future Kickstarters for, I don't know, issue 2 or issue 3 or something like that?
I just need to get the artist started on it. That's the only thing holding me back. Everything through issue 3 is written, and issue 4 and 5 has been outlined. So I'm a little ahead of the curve.
That's good. So presumably it would be issue 4 and 5 that would be looking for the funding.
Well, I have to fund 2 and 3 first, but I still have to write 4 and 5.
Okay.
But yeah, hopefully I could get issue 2 done in the next year or so, and then get that onto Kickstarter. We'll see. I also pitched it to a couple other places, so maybe that will change my strategy when the time comes, depending on what I hear back.
All right. And let me see. So tell us a bit about the anthologies you've worked on.
Okay, I did Project Big Hype. That was the first one I really did. God, that was during probably around even before COVID started, or just around COVID starting. I wrote a kind of a adventurer story about a kid sneak thief in like a steampunk 19th century Cairo, stealing back like an Eye of Horus to return to a museum in Cairo. That was the first one. And then I got invited to do Cthulhu Invades Wonderland because I had pitched a short for Cthulhu Invades Oz, which was the first of that series, and I didn't get in. But that was like something I pitched because Travis Gibb invited me to do Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. I did the Dodo story, and then that whole anthology was up for a Ringo. And then I also did a short for my friend Charlie McElvee's Spire Squirrel anthology. I did a short story involving his character Damocles, I believe. And after that, most recently, I did again for Travis Gibbs, Orange Cohen Productions, Holiday Spirits Volume 3, where I did a Hanukkah story. That was kind of like I said, it's Bubby meets Home Alone. Basically, imagine if what's the name of the main character from Home Alone? Basically, imagine him as a Jewish grandmother taking on a burglar during Hanukkah.
Kevin McAllister?
Yeah. I think Kevin McAllister about the Jewish grandmother and she's taking down a burglar during Hanukkah. And it's played more like a horror film. It's really funny that we're doing a tournament between two ideas. One is like that was like my third idea I had come up with to pitch. Originally, I was thinking like snow golems being sent after a unrepentant Nazi, and like no, that seems a little like it would have been done. And all of a sudden, my brain went, "Booby is Home Alone," and that's when the light bulb went off, and I went, "That will work." And I most recently did what's been drawn and everything for Kurt Belcher, his Storage Wars anthology. I did another Jewish influenced horror short for that, and I might have another Phantom of the Opera related story somewhere soon. Another anthology, but I'm not saying which one yet because I don't think it's been publicly announced.
And are you working on any anthologies now?
I've submitted to a couple anthologies now, but I'm also starting to set up a anthology of my own. I'm doing a first issue of a Jewish, because that would do is issues first and then collect it as a book of Jewish comic book stories.
Trying to think of the right way to frame the question here. I'm like, and that is, what are you looking to hone in on in terms of Jewishness with this anthology?
Just like tales of various Jewish perspectives and celebrating Jewish life and culture and tradition and.
Okay, so some of the aspects of the Jews as a culture.
Right. Not just as a religion, because we are also an ethnic group.
Right. Okay, that does sound interesting. And well, I imagine you have a segment lined up for your own anthology.
May not for this first issue, but I do want to do something for one of these eventually for when we have, by the time we are ready to actually do a combined edition, because we're doing this in issues first, and I don't want to be like that guy saying, "Hey, it's the first issue of something I'm one of the showrunners for. I want to have the first issue." That's a little self-serving. And I want others to share first, but if it's room for it in this first issue, I might supply something.
And do you have anyone lined up for this anthology yet?
Not yet. It's the first time I've been talking about it more publicly. That this is being done. We are still putting together some of the finer print. We have reached out to some people, and some people have reached out to us, but we haven't made any firm decisions yet.
Okay.
But we probably will make some announcements soon-ish.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's worth asking, are you working on any sort of like one-shots, new comics that we haven't talked about yet?
Oh God, I work on so much. I've actually had to tell myself I have to start shutting things down a little bit, just for my own sanity, and my bank account. Well, what have I been working on? I'm working on another Jewish story about the World War II story about a Jewish super soldier that's being drawn by Marcelo Muller. I started a story called Time Lost, which is about a bunch of soldiers and warriors throughout time being kidnapped by a malevolent demigod to another plane, basically to survive for his own amusement. I have a first issue of that already drawn in color that needs to be finished, be lettered. Start a new project called Templar, which is about a malevolent vigilante superhero that belongs to kind of a quasi cult, who's been locked up in an insane asylum pending if he's deemed fit to stand trial. And that might just put the hospital in a lot of danger. And what else have I been working on? I'm working on a martial arts thing that's kind of like a tribute to 1980s beat 'em up comics called Beat 'em Up. Literally, that's what it's called. And I'm working on kind of like a Greek myth adventure fantasy series called Sword of Olympus. And like I said, I got a lot of stuff on the fire. Plus, I got, I have to get American Dreams Arc 2 finished, and I have to get Night Ref and Rook Knight 2s, respectively, out, drawn, colored, and inked and done. And I'm doing a lot of juggling.
So certainly sounds if nothing else, you've got a lot on your plate at any given moment in time. Like
Basically, yeah.
right. Right. So I think I've run through my questions. See if anyone else here has anything further for you.
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
I am also good.
All right. As always, Daniel, aside from the Kickstarter, anything else, appearances or items you'd like to promote before we say good evening?
Yes. Hold on. I'll be at the Brooklyn Independent Comics. What do they call it? The Brooklyn Independent Comics Showcase next weekend at Industry City in Brooklyn, and I'll be at CradleCon in Long Island next month.
All right.
Which is at the Cradle of Aviation Museum in Garden City.
There we go. All right. Well, it was a pleasure having you on the program again, and we thank you for taking the time to come and visit with us for a little while, and we'll keep in touch in case there's further developments.
Well, do. Thank you for having me on.
All right.
Night all.
All right. Now it's time for entertainment news.
All right.
Adam, time to unleash the fury again.
Fury is a good word to use this week. Like, oh boy, because first we have to talk about Avatar. Specifically, The Last Airbender. More specifically, the live-action Airbender program on Netflix.
No such thing. Doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about.
There is no war in
it
Ba
exists.
Say.
Well, you would like to think that, but
Well, Kevin, I think you're chomping at the bit to talk about this. So why don't you enlighten the folks?
Well, apparently it's come out in an interview. I forgot what the actual outlet was with the actress who's going to play Toph in the adaptation, and apparently she said that in order to make the character more human, because it was a cartoon, they're apparently going to make her a bit more feminine.
Oh boy.
That was the entire. Okay, aside from her being a blind earthbender, the entire point was that this is a character who, when she found that she had been cast as a large muscular man in the story of their adventures, she was super hyped about that.
Yes. And,
also, she's being cast older.
And older, older, that too, yes. Yes.
Okay, the older I can kind of see, just because it'd be hard for someone to portray that young in a live-action series.
Yeah, like a live-action 10-year-old is a much taller order, especially in a series like Avatar.
Especially
it's not
if they
just
want to maintain the blind aspect. It's a lot easier for a older actor to portray blind than someone who's actually 10.
So the TikToks are true. We learned absolutely nothing from The Last of Us.
I was going to say we learned nothing from the M. Night Shyamalan Avatar movie, but...
No, we learned something.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but
We at least
Yeah,
kind of
that
learned
far.
not to cast aggressively white people as
that a faithful
Arctic
adaptation.
indigenous people.
Yeah.
There.
So we learned
Look.
nothing from the fact that a faithful, true to the video game and or source material TV series being wildly popular means nothing.
Well,
And we should just all so that way we can have, kids with boob windows and hip slits.
I'm like, how do I put this? There's a lot of debate in terms of, adaptation, because, if you're doing a shot-for-shot adaptational work, why? Why do that? Like,
Well,
on the
then tell a different story with the same characters, but you don't have to fundamentally change who they are.
So that's what I want to talk about here, because this, the not the rumors, but the fandom are looking at this with curious eyes, concerned eyes, and not just because they might be misreading the entirety of Toph's character. I'm going to come out and say it: love triangle. Those words have been thrown around because,
oh boy,
yeah, because since this is fucking Avatar, so much of the conversation has been around the fucking shipping. And not just this latest development, by the way. Oh, no. A lot of season 1's changes and developments has been fueling a couple of fires.
So gross as always.
Well, yes, because the specific fire I'm referring to is Zuko and Katara, the ship that will not die.
Zutara, even though it's very damn clear that she and Aang got together.
Also,
Well,
it's very clear that if those two were left alone in a room together, they would murder each other. There would be no lovey-dovey. It would be
No.
violence.
No, they were left in a room together and nothing fucking happened.
Yeah, let's be clear about that. That wasn't that bad eventually, but
I mean, it depends on what
nothing
part
romantic.
of the series.
Yeah,
Right,
fair enough.
right.
I suppose it's worth going into a bit as to why this ship continues to live on. I'm like, I don't
I mean,
want
people do like a bad boy.
Well, yes, that's that's part of it. I'm like, but it's not just people like the bad boy. The target demographic of the original Avatar series really liked Zuko. And there's another aspect here that doesn't get...
Zuko's a good character. It's okay to like Zuko, but Katara doesn't like him that much.
Well, there's another aspect. There's two other aspects here that need to be taken into consideration here. And that is the overall shipping, whatchamacallit, Aang and Katara versus Zuko and Katara. Okay, on the face of it, Aang and Katara, that's white bread. That's, the thing you expect to happen. Because
also, Aang is significantly younger than her, iceberg notwithstanding, and is kind of silly.
I said on the surface. When you look at it deeper, it's actually a very awkward pairing, and this is why Aang and Katara, nobody looks to them as a couple. Put it to you this way: they put out a comic book featuring Korosami. They did no such thing with Aang and Katara. Nobody gave a shit that they are a coupling.
I guess the assumption is after the battle with the Fire Lord, Aang started to grow up, and that's when Katara fell for him, is what I'm assuming happened.
I don't know. They were shown at least kind of liking each other by the end of the series, but yeah.
More to the point, Zutara is the spice of life. You know, it's dark, it's dangerous, it's forbidden passion. You know, very attractive to teenage girls. And there's another aspect that a lot of people have never considered because it's not a white-born viewpoint. I only saw this, you know, when a person of color reflected on why they liked Zutara. It's because there's, especially in the year 2005, there weren't a lot of brown girls in animation.
That's true.
So a lot of people saw themselves in Katara, literally. They put them, you know, they did the cipher thing, and they've desired Zuko because, as you said, everyone likes a bad boy.
Yeah, a 15-year-old bad boy has many more attractive qualities than a 12-year-old goofball.
And not just that, somebody, you know, he's fixable to complete the fantasy.
I could fix him. Yes. That's the actual thing used. That's the word used. Yes.
I'm with you on that, but it is such a thing.
I know it's a thing, but God, do I hate it.
Yeah. And with the live action Avatar series, they have been much more focused on either Zutara or I'm trying to remember the pairing name
for
Sokka and Zuko.
Oh God,
Yeah, it doesn't come up much, but they have apparently those people have seen the signs.
Yeah. I do not know the exact term either, but I know for a fact that they're shipped hard too. Yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
What's wrong with people?
Yeah.
I know, they were at least getting along better.
Yeah.
And of course, kids can't be, because kids can't just be kids in a story. You know, they got to eventually be adults that are fuckable. That's the important thing here.
Look, this is the Avatar fandom. This is just part of the fucking territory.
Dude, this is every fandom, and it holds true.
It's a young adult story that people are going to be obsessed on the shipping.
Yeah.
You know, we try to say things like, "Oh, nobody hates Star Wars or Star Trek as much as its fans," but the truth of the matter is that it's true of all fandoms. Like nobody hates on the material more than the fandom does. And nobody has more despicable ideas about what should be done than the so-called actual fans of the franchise.
I am very well aware of that, but you know, this is what has to be dealt with. Anyway, like I said, we can continue going down this rabbit hole, but I think we're far down enough for anyone's.
I can't see the sun anymore, Adam. Please pull up. Pull up.
It's flying too high. The wings are melting.
But after a certain point, you want to be extinguished.
We've reached peak Icarus factor.
Yes. I'm like, anyway, in completely other news, Homestar Runner has turned 25 years old.
I saw that video.
That sound you're hearing is bones breaking due to brittleness.
Yeah.
I have a complaint to register.
Oh no.
Go ahead.
Actually, which is that I watched that video and then I I attempted to go to homestarrunnerinsert.com 25 times and it didn't go anywhere, and I expect a higher level of commitment to the bit from Homestar Runner.
Give it a bit of time and they'll actually do it. Like they actually completed that Stinko Man 20XT6 game after like 20 years.
Oh Lord.
Look, I will like they will commit to a bit if they want to.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm slightly I mean, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. But I really was hoping that they would, like, if they're gonna have Homestar jokingly go to .com, whatever, make that a thing.
Right.
Even if it doesn't even redirect to their main page.
Mm.
I just remember the fact that Homestar Runner was such a integral part of this show early in the days, because we were constantly commentating on that.
I mean, Homestar Runner was probably the most formative cartoon of the pre-YouTube internet.
Especially
Like,
for a lot of millennials
Certainly
and whatnot.
one of them. I know it
like,
was mine.
Yeah, like,
don't touch that, flippity blow. What's up, flippity blow?
Memories. Like, but even in semi-retirement, Homestar Runner.
And
You dropped there, Adam.
That whole thing got even in retirement, Homestar really.
Even in semi-retirement, Homestar Runner can still deliver.
There we go.
Yeah. Anyway, moving over to Marvel news. Daredevil Born Again Season 2 will arrive in March 2026. So, did anyone else here actually watch Season 1?
I don't have sufficient power to binge watch it. I plugged in the mini fridge just now and the lights went out. Soon I will catch up with it.
Like, I have mixed feelings about the first season. Like, you can certainly tell it was a troubled production, especially early on, when it feels a lot more like an episode of Suits or Law and Order than, Daredevil. Like,
and yet it's still better received than Captain America: Brave New World.
Didn't that draw money or something? Like, I don't know.
It's like 400. It's at $412 million. So the word disappointing is being bandied about since it's going to pretty much peter out below Shang-Chi.
And
really, I thought Daredevil was doing okay, or was at least kind of popular.
No, Daredevil. We're not talking about Daredevil. We're talking about Captain America: New World Order.
Oh,
Daredevil hasn't gotten a movie yet, and I'm not sure Daredevil ever will.
That's true. I suppose having a popular TV series doesn't actually count for much.
Well, it's more the legal issue surrounding Wilson Fisk. They can't use Kingpin in the movies.
Right.
That's Sony territory.
Yeah.
Because Kingpin is more Spider-Man's rogue gallery than.
Well, he's a shared rogue. It's the same thing that
was in the Spider-Verse movies. So
yeah, it's the same thing that happened to the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver when Fox owned the X-Men stuff. Like, that they were enough of a character in both the Avengers and X-Men to appear in both. And that is the situation with Kingpin. He's enough of a Daredevil villain to appear in some stuff, but he's also originated from the Spider-Man comics. So
yeah, because go figure, he's the kingpin of crime in New York City, the city in which many different Marvel comics take place.
Largely because that's where Marvel was originally based.
Yep.
And still is.
Yeah, and unlike DC, which really likes using fictional cities, Marvel
based on real cities.
Yes. sometimes
Metropolis being New York and Gotham being Newark, New Jersey.
Well,
except when Gotham is New York, which it sometimes is.
Yeah,
and Metropolis is sometimes Washington D.C. or something.
Well, in the Christopher Reeve movies, they had the Statue of Liberty, so it was definitely New York City.
Mm-hmm. I know, but it varies.
Okay, yeah. Technically speaking, Metropolis is supposed to be New York City during the day. Gotham City is New York City at night. Sometimes Metropolis is LA. Sometimes it's fucking Kansas. Sometimes, it's this. Sometimes that. Ditto with Gotham. Like that's
I think it's only Kansas when they want non-super. I think it's only Kansas when they want non-Superman people to be able to go back and forth in less than a day.
Right.
Yeah.
Between there and Smallville.
Yeah. And Kansas City is in Missouri. I'll say it a third time.
Yeah. Well, there is actually a Kansas City, Kansas. There are 2 Kansas cities.
Doesn't it sit on the border?
Roughly, yeah.
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 The bigger part that people care about is in Missouri.
Yes.
Make of that what you will.
Get me some KC style cracker pizza.
Like the Kansas City Chiefs are in Missouri. They're on the Missouri side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, over to Netflix with a unusual release, as they are going to be handling Genndy Tartakovsky's R-rated animated movie Fix. First time that Netflix has worked with Tartakovsky, as usually they're working with Warner Brothers or Sony.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say specifically it's because of the fact that it's a Sony routine.
Like, yeah, Netflix has bought in some Sony movies over the years.
Yeah, they have a close relationship.
So,
yeah.
Hopefully it works out for Tartakovsky, because Warriors Unicorn Eternal did not go over well.
Honestly, at this point, Genndy should be tired of the studio system at this point. Because all the bullshit with Sony that he's had over the years and all the bullshit with Warner Brothers, and particularly with this when they were both playing hot potato.
I mean, I get the feeling that Genndy Tartakovsky might not be the easiest guy to work with on stuff like this, but I also get the feeling that a lot of the time when they're disagreeing about stuff, he's right.
As long as it's not about romance. Dear God, he cannot write romance.
I said a lot of the time, not always.
Stop writing romance, Tartakovsky.
Or maybe that wasn't necessarily fully his call, or maybe he was pushed toward that route.
Something, let's rip off the end of Gurren Lagann wholesale.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Warrior Unicorn Eternal. Dear God, the worst love triangle I have ever fucking seen. That series got the death it deserved.
Yeah, I mean,
did it make Harlequin? Did it make Harlequin romance novels look like Shakespeare?
Yes.
I mean, look, with that extra Jack season, at least he tried. He tried. Emphasis on try. He attempted.
It's telling that the best love story he ever made was the one he didn't intend to make, Symbiotic Titan.
One day we'll get the end of that. I'll probably be dead.
No, probably not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Symbiotic Titan was written off, so it's in the tax hole.
To the abyss, but
I too wish to join the tax hole. Wait, no, hold on.
Anyway,
but yeah, I mean,
just have received a coupon for one night.
Anyway, I think that'll about do it for this week.
Yeah.
Such a short episode.
Yeah.
We still have.
That was a follow-up. This was a follow-up episode, so there was less ground to cover this time.
Also, we started like 20 minutes early.
Yeah, we started earlier than we normally do.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that.
For once. Yeah.
We still have 14 minutes if we go with the full 90 minutes.
There's nothing
But we don't have to. We don't have to. All right. So next week on episode 18 on April, what the fuck is this? Where the hell are we here? April 23rd. I don't know what day it is.
It's April 23rd.
Episode 18.
Yeah.
We got Adam. We got Adam Gottschalk of OTR, YouTube-based food documentary channel. Did you want to expand on that, Adam, or is it pretty much in the description there?
I mean, that is the basics of what OTR food and history is. More elaborately, he lives in Bangkok, Thailand, and he does two kinds of documentaries. One is the history of like the essential food stuff, like the history of bread, the history of salt, the history of noodles, that kind of deal. And the other stuff is much more local, like, you know, what is Lao food? You know, the cuisine of Laos, a lot of Thai cuisine because he lives there. You know, I did just get an email from him over the course of the show. The time and date is good. He hasn't quite confirmed yet because he was looking for more information from our end. So you call this a work in progress.
All right.
So.
All right. Well, we will strive for on timeness. Also, scrolling through the notes here, I do not need to be reminded of what the D-pad does. I have them in my recommended channels.
Okay.
Good to know. Again.
We are cruising inexorably towards the end of season 19, folks. This was, of course, episode 17. We have 18, 19, 20, and 21 left to us before we wrap up for the break. So that should cruise us directly into summertime. But again, thanks to our guest tonight, and good talk, everybody. And I think I've filibustered enough for one night. So this is Mac Paladin. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, kids.